Good morning, students. We have learnt what are the various routes through which the infectious agents enter into our body and cause the diseases. Based on the route or based on the means through which they enter into our body, the diseases are classified into 5 types. They are airborne, waterborne, sexually transmitted diseases, vector-borne and food-borne diseases. These are the 5 types of diseases which we have learned. If you carefully observe, the airborne disease and its disease-causing agent generally enters through nose, and sexually transmitted diseases they enter into the body through reproductive tracts, and waterborne diseases and foodborne diseases they enter into our the infectious agents of waterborne diseases and foodborne diseases they enter through our mouth, and vector-borne diseases some they enter through the bloodstream if the organisms like mosquitoes bite. Some they enter through our mouth only if we eat the improperly cooked meat which contains the infectious agents. Right. So the route of the entry of the infectious agent into our body is specific. Every infectious agent cannot enter in all types of foods. Right? Or all types of foods cannot be, or single route cannot be utilized by all infectious agents. There are different routes for different infectious agents and different means of spreading of different infectious agents. Right? Now, whenever a disease takes place in a person, then certain symptoms or signs are observed in that person. Those symptoms are generally they are related to some specific tissues or some specific organs. The symptoms that are related to specific organs or specific tissues are known as organ-specific and tissue-specific manifestations. Manifestation means outward expressed signs and symptoms. Outward expressed signs and symptoms of organs and tissues. But how a particular organ only will express the signs and symptoms? How a particular tissue only express the symptoms? Okay. We already discussed different species of the microbes or infectious agents can infect and stay in different particular tissues of the body. The route is specific, not only the route. Every infectious agent cannot stay in your body in all the tissues. Some infectious agents they can stay only in the brain. Some infectious agents they can stay only in the lungs. Some infectious agents they can stay only in the liver. Some infectious agents they can stay only in the gut, that is food pipe, stomach, intestines, entirely this entire stretch which you call alimentary canal or gut. Some infectious agents they can stay in some other glands or some other places of your body. Right? That means how they are so choosy to that particular tissue or organ because of their structure. Like how we are evolved in the course of evolution, even the infectious agents also they have evolved in the course of evolution. Due to the evolutionary changes, their body has got certain specific structural adaptations. According to the structural adaptations, a particular infectious agent can stay in a particular tissue or organ only. It cannot stay in all the organs or all the tissues. According to the particular adaptations, that particular infectious agent it chooses a particular means of spread and particular route of entry into the human body. Right? So, this selection of tissue or organ where the organism is going to stay, this selection of tissue or organ by the infectious agent, it is dependent on the structure of that infectious agent and the point of the entry into the body. The point of the entry into the body. Actually, they are all interrelated with one to each other. Structure decides where to stay, and where to stay that it decides the point of entry. But we think that because of the point of entry, it is just some organisms, gut infecting organisms, if they enter in respiratory tract, what will happen? Nothing will happen. If respiratory tract infecting organisms, if they go into gut, what will happen? Nothing will happen. Right? If they end, because of their point of entry, that microbe is not going to cause the disease in that particular organ. If the point of entry is correctly matching to the infectious agent as its preferred infecting organ or tissue, then only the infection takes place actually, right? The damage takes place, right? So, whatever it may be, according to our textbook given syllabus, we have to understand point of entry decides the infected place. Okay, let us take that particular thing only, right? Point of entry. If you take the point of entry is the nose where it leads to respiratory tract, that is lungs finally. So lungs will be finally getting infected, like the diseases in tuberculosis. If the point of entry is mouth, then your gut, that is stomach, small intestine, large intestine, they get affected. So it is typhoid-like diseases, right? Viruses, if you take, they can go to different places. The route may be different. The routes may be different, like COVID-19. It finally infects the lungs mainly, but the routes may be eyes, mouth, nose, different routes. Okay, but finally they reach to the destination and they cause the disease. Viruses that go to the liver and cause damage, they cause jaundice. Viruses that go into the lungs, they cause several diseases like pneumonia and now COVID-19, etc. Some microbes infect different tissues irrespective of their point of entry. See, point of entry, I already told, it is correctly matching to the tissue, then okay. Sometimes it may not be correctly matching, but finally it tries to move to the final targeted tissue. So irrespective of the point of entry, some microbes, they cause damage to the particular organ. Like HIV, it enters through reproductive tract, but where it goes, finally it goes to lymphoid organs, mainly lymph nodes. Lymph nodes, they have so many T cells, which are T lymphocytes, which are the key cells for our immune system. And HIV goes and attack that T lymphocytes only. Right? Now, malarial parasite, it enters into our bloodstream by mosquito bite, but it first reaches to the liver, right? And then again it comes back to red blood cell. But point of entry is different. Viruses that cause Japanese encephalitis or brain fever, they also are entering into our body by mosquito bite only, right? But finally they reach to the brain and cause the damage and they cause brain fever or Japanese encephalitis. Whatever it may be. Now coming to the signs and symptoms. The signs and symptoms of a disease, they finally are depends on the infected tissue or organ, not the route of the entry. Route of the entry, it cannot decide the signs and symptoms. Signs and symptoms of a disease are decided by the infected organ or tissue. If lungs are infected, then cough and breathlessness is observed, like in present COVID-19. Lungs are getting infected. Because of breathlessness, many people are dying, right? And the cough also, dry cough is coming. If liver is infected, the skin will be becoming yellowish, or eyes will be becoming yellowish in the case of jaundice. If brain is infected, giddiness, unconsciousness, okay, headache, fits, vomiting, all these things will take place if brain is infected. So, in the case of brain fever, it happens. Thus, by observing the signs and symptoms, the targeted tissue or organ can be identified. Or by observing the damage to the tissues, you can expect the symptoms and signs also. Okay, just the disease has started and by some test the infected organ is identified. So doctor will prescribe the medicine for the symptoms also, even which they are not started. Right? As organs and tissues are interrelated in their functions. Organs and tissues are interrelated in their function. Apart from only one tissue specific symptom, other tissues also may exhibit some symptoms. Apart from tissue specific effects, there will be some common effects also. These common effects are generally due to the involvement of immune system. Whenever a tissue or organ is getting infected or damaged to that particular site, what is there in that particular site? Infection. Infection means many microbes are there. Those microbes have to be eliminated, they have to be killed. So, immune system will act on that particular site. How the immune system will act? The immune system will get activated and it will be recruiting many cells to that particular infected site for killing those microbes. The recruitment of the immune cells for killing microbes to the infected area is called inflammation. This inflammation in turn will result in swelling and pain, and rise in the temperature also takes place. Pyretic effect. Pyretic effect means rise in the temperature. Okay. Because of the rise in the temperature also some microbes will be killed. Why fever occurs? Fever occurs to kill the microbes. So, due to inflammation, swelling and pain and rise in temperature also will happen. Right. The tissue specificity of infection leads to many general effects also. For example, if you take HIV damages only T lymphocytes. But T lymphocytes are the major cells for the immune system for its function. If T lymphocytes are damaged, the immune system can no longer effective in its function. If immune system is not effective in its function, many small other infections also will disturb the body of the human being. For example, common cold, it will turn up into pneumonia. And minor gut infection, it may turn into diarrhea or blood vomitings also. Okay, and normal cough may turn into tuberculosis. And tuberculosis, which can be cured in the normal persons, in AIDS people, in HIV/AIDS people, it cannot be cured. Thus, in the HIV infected patients, all other infections, they actually are going to exhibit their symptoms. While in other persons, in normal persons, they can be cured by the immune system, whereas in HIV infected person, as the immune system itself is damaged, it cannot be curing all other infections, and the symptoms of all other effects will become symptoms of all other infections will become the symptoms of HIV and AIDS. Right. Now, thus, finally, the other infections only will kill the HIV infected patient. Severity of disease manifestation, it depends on the number of microbes also. Severity of the disease manifestations, it depends on the number of microbes. If more number of microbes is there, then what will happen? More severity of the disease manifestations will be there. If less number of microbes is there, less severity of the disease manifestations will be there. But how this number of the microbes is decided? Is it the only dose that enters? Not only that. It's the number of microbes, it depends on the strength of your immune system. If your immune system is very strong enough, then the number of microbes is not allowed to increase. Thus, the microbe number will be under control. It is kept under control, and the disease manifestations also will be very nominal. It is observed that in COVID-19 patients, many of the COVID positive persons, they are not showing any symptoms because their immune system is very strong enough so that it is not allowing the microbe to grow in large number, and it is eliminating finally, and those people without actually showing any symptoms, they are getting cured. Whereas in some persons, it is leading even to death because of their poor immune system. This poor immune system, in turn, it is because of some other diseases also. As the immune system is already involved in treating of other diseases, other infections, or as immune system has already become weak due to other abnormalities like diabetes or malfunctioning liver, etc. or malfunctioning brain. Because of all these things, immune system also is not effective enough. In such patients, what will happen? The number of microbes will increase so rapidly, and which finally leads to the death. Okay.